Good morning, beautiful people out there in YouTube land. It's Jonny Cashflow here. Hope you're having a wonderful morning. And if I don't catch you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. So I just wanted to touch base briefly with you guys uh, about concept that I don't think is talked about enough: renting versus buying. No, it's totally overdone and ridiculous on on every platform and everything. But here's one little nugget I wanted to share with you guys real quick. And at the end of this nugget that I'm going to share, I'm also going to share one last little secret. Okay. And in that last little secret, it will blow your mind whether you're a beginner or a novice. So definitely watch till the end, check that out. But here's the one critical question that I asked when I was going to buy my first property, which was my homestead. And your homestead is where you're going to be domiciled for a number of years. And domiciled means you're going to be there for an indefinite amount of time, typically at least a year. Anyways, I digress. My first property, I wasn't ready to buy. I did not have enough income. I was looking down the barrel of being cash broke to be in a house that I could reasonably afford with my family. That is where I was at. And at the time, my wonderful father asked the question, like, and again, we're living in South Florida. He asked the question, why don't you just rent for a few years, save up your money, and then buy then in a few years? And that plan worked 40 years ago, I think, supposedly. In most areas, some areas, I think it was a true thing that you used to be able to save a significant amount of money. In a lot of metros, even still, it is, when you factor in all the costs of home ownership, all the repairs and all the things that come up as a homeowner, there's argument that it is still more expensive. But essentially, when he mentioned that, I just kind of had to turn to him and say, the problem is that we're not we're not going to really save much by renting. And even if we did, here's the critical question. Okay, let's say I want to buy a mortgage, want to buy a house, and I want a mortgage for $3,000 a month. Okay, and if I didn't get that mortgage for $3,000 a month, I could get a rental for $2,500 a month, right? And you say, oh, well, that would be wonderful because then you'd save $500 a month. So you'd save six, uh, $500 a month. You'd save $6,000 in a year. So you would save $30,000 in 5 years. How could you not rent and save up your money, save up your 30,000 so you got it in the bank 5 years from now, right? That would be wonderful. Well, here's the problem. Here's where the best laid plans of mice and men go awry with that, okay? Because now let's look at that $3,000 property. Let's say it's a $300,000 property with a $3,000 mortgage. Okay, now that $300,000 property. Let's say it wasn't even the last 5 years. Let's say it was just your typical 5% property appreciation over a 5 year period. So after year one, that 300K house is now a 315 house, then a 330, then a 345, 360, 375, right? So here's the tricky thing is that, okay, now let's flip this. I'm paying $500 more to own that $300,000 property, which means I'm spending on my cash flow $500 more a month, $6,000 a year, $30,000. I'm losing $30,000 by owning the home. No, don't you remember that the property was appreciating at 5% or better and has been forever? Okay, so actually the delta of the appreciation and the extra cost is actually what you want to look at. So You netted $75,000. Your living expense was $30,000 more. In this example, you would have $40,000 more in a 5-year period. That is wild. And what is the critical question that you need to ask yourself? If you rent, is your savings going to be greater than the property would appreciate? If the savings with renting is going to be greater than the property will appreciate, then you should rent. If, like in the example that I just gave, your savings will be much less, because I wasn't even going to save $500. Maybe I save $100 a month renting, so I save $1,000 a year. Great, that does nothing for me in 5 years, right? But I was looking at the market and I saw these properties are going to continue to appreciate. They're overpriced, but they're going to keep appreciating for at least the foreseeable future, 3 to 5 years at a 5% growth rate. And so it doesn't matter how much I can save, how fast I can save, because I'm not going to keep up with the appreciation on the cost of the home. It doesn't matter if in a year I've saved $6,000, but now the properties are $15,000 more. And that keeps happening and keeps happening and keeps happening and keeps happening. The trick is to wake up to that cycle that you're on and not do that for the next 30, 40, 50 years. Realize it before that. Right? Okay, so if I could give anyone a blanket piece of advice, obviously all real estate is local. I am a licensed real estate agent in Florida, working on getting it as well in Illinois, so I can speak with some authority on it. My personal advice: rent. The next 2 years will be the best time in your life to rent, save that money, and get your credit score up. And no, I don't have a credit score company. I should, right? That I could pitch right here. That would be really slick, but I don't. I just believe it. I just believe that. If you're looking right now at renting or buying in the next 2 years, and I could be wrong too. In 2 years, maybe mortgage rates are 10% instead of 8%. And that wouldn't be great. But then again, even if they are 10% 2 years from now, but property values drop 15%, well, then it's a wash. In terms of the monthly mortgage, which is what actually matters, because that's the cash flow that you need to be able to secure that property, whether it's a homestead or an investment property. So I hope that was all very helpful. But again, simple equation. When savings on your rent is greater than appreciation on the property, then you rent. When the property appreciation is greater than what you would save in renting, then you better buy as fast as you can. And that's got to be true, because it's coming from a realtor who's not just saying, you got to buy every time. Market's up, market down, interest rates high, low, you always got to buy. Yeah, no, that's necessarily not always in your best financial interest to blindly buy and pray to God that interest rates come back down. The whole date the rate. Buy the house and date the rate, because you can always refinance later. Don't worry about 8% interest rates. You can refinance when it's 6% in 2 years, maybe, or maybe it'll be the same, or maybe it'll be higher. Only God knows. But my whole point is, I hope that was helpful. I hope that was insightful. Kind of a unique and simple way to determine, should I rent or should I buy? Should I stay or should I go? And if you like that, I always keep my promises. I done told you I was going to give you a little special nugget right at the end. And so if you don't know, now you know, people. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? So definitely check out this video right here. Okay. Risk versus reward. Investing for dummies. Check it out. Have a great one, y'all. Much love.